Good people. It feels like the zoning of your hardware in terms of cooling is becoming the trend in 2026. We've seen the Cougar 235 compartmentalize the entire chamber at the top, separating it from the power supply. And with the CFV 220, which is their new enclosure, they're trying to do something similar, but also reconfiguring the interior to potentially give us better airflow. Right now, this is still in not passed through thermal temperature testing yet. So I was asking, like, hey, excuse me, it seems like they've completely opened up the section underneath the GPU for those two fans, really high performance dust filter, and absolutely no restriction on the frame level. So the fans are intaking that cool air directly for our GPU, which is how it should be. Of course, there's also an RGB strip that is ambient, especially in the white model. That bounce is gorgeous. And with this configuration, the power supply has been moved to the front. We've seen this from the Lianli 207. I think it's a popular design choice. This is the second or maybe a third enclosure now that we've seen do that to, again, alleviate some of that spacing issues and give us way better cooling capabilities for our GPU. The power supply is 150 millimeters. Of course, it's ATX. All the cables are facing the back. So one of the issues I'm seeing now is that you have to pass all the cables through a tiny cutout and not through an opening inside the frame. This looks like this might not be removable. But at the same time, everything behind the motherboard tray is super clean. No cables exiting on the side. And of course, this is another difference between this versus the 235. Now you have the triple view for your GPU. So as long as the GPU booty is long enough, it's going to be visible. I said GPU booty, didn't I? The rear end of the GPU, no, that doesn't make it better. The backside, no, that's not either. The case does support BTF motherboards. It comes with a full Air RGB/fan controller hub. It will have 3 fans, so 2 at the bottom and 1 at the rear. The ones that you're seeing in the case right now, that beautiful diffusion, are the fans that will be available. And the price point is actually quite impressive at $99. And the black one seems a little bit more discreet, not that much diffusion, but still somewhat visible. And I feel like the direction towards giving us more and more and more in terms of functionality and some differentiation between this versus a dual chamber fish tank, and especially at the affordable price point, is crucial. 2026 and beyond. These dual fans underneath the GPU sit on a bracket that can angle at the motherboard side. So if you want to have a little bit of that, not flatness, but visual diversity and potentially better airflow delivery for the GPU, that's possible. Then we have the dual Air RGB. The fancy trick here is the swappable front plates. Right now we have the metal mesh ventilation that you can see the RGB fans behind it. You know, obviously unrestrictive, absolutely fine. This is now removable, and you can swap it for a piece of glass. Ivo, what are we thinking? Do we like it? I mean, it looks gorgeous, right? But I mean, as with any glass front panels, airflow is going to suffer, but it does look better, especially because we also have a glass piece in front of our I/O. So on the black model, the glossy element looks fantastic, and there's that built-in ARGB strip at the bottom for that ambient inclusion. The thing is, this case is $85, which is good value, but then it will come with 5 fans included. So what you see here on display with the 2 RGB fans in the front, 1 in the back, and 2 120 mil fans, reverse fans on our power supply shroud, that's all included for the $85, including the 2 swappable front plates. Cable management on the dual Air, just because the power supply has been shifted to the back, seems all okay without interfering or introducing many cables right underneath the GPUs. And for this price point, like having this giant fan hub / RGB hub is actually super impressive. But in terms of cable management, you can see you don't have that much space and just kind of a very basic rubber grommet setup with some cable type ports. From a value point of view, I feel like it's really good. You know, there's a fine performance dust filter that is removable exactly from the front over here. On the interior, like, you know, it's a mid-tower with an exposed power supply shroud for GPU intake. So not exactly the 235 level or 220 level, but still a little bit of something, and the power supply now shifted to the front. Mike did mention that the exposed rivets over here on the white model in particular are not looking super refined, but I think we can almost forgive them that for the fact that it's only $85 for both black and the white model. Now, from a point of view, like, you may be thinking, oh my God, another mid-tower, fans included, it's quite affordable, but I think that's kind of the necessary direction we have to go into when it comes to buying your next mid-tower in 2026 and beyond, you know? And this is the black model, which, by the way, see that the glass looks so cool, Eber. Look at this. I love this like little contrast between here and the glass in front of the front AO. Okay, now this looks like something you'd see like 4 years ago where everything was glass, including at the front. So not a huge fan of this glass direction. I'm not a huge fan of the pattern here for our ventilation on the mesh, but you know, it is a little bit different. Now I know there's a huge craze behind like a gaming computer, some glass RGB, but honestly guys, seeing these like industrial AI server workstation targeted cases makes me fall in love with PC building it all over again, just because of the industrial design, that like bare metal on the interior, proper handle so you can carry the case once it's assembled. Really cool front panel that isn't just like RGB puke and glass everywhere. Like high quality power buttons, thick metal on the interior and the exterior. I'm just trying to like reflect on my creative side. I would totally put my editing system in something like this. The problem becomes that these cases like the mid tower and the full tower, they don't have a price advantage because they have to go through the EMI certification and testing, which is expensive per model. And so that adds to the price. But just from a point of view of going back to like the raw building, PC building looks awesome, especially like this like really beefy GPU holder. I feel like we can somewhat make our way back towards doing more of this in the mainstream, but I'd love to hear if you agree. Well, I think this is a very good way to conclude our tour here at Cougar. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.